Welcome back. I'm Melissa.
I'm Nadia.
For anyone just finding us, we are artists and activists from Chicago's Theater Y. Our theater has worked inside Illinois prisons since 2018. We've developed years-long relationships with men serving life sentences. Most of you probably have ideas about who these men are. We arrived with many of the same assumptions. Years of working alongside them revealed just how wrong we are.
Illinois abolished parole in 1978. Since then, thousands of people have been buried alive, erased from their families, from public life, from any version of a future. This show lives inside that reality and asks, what does it cost all of us?
Illinois just passed its 2027 budget. They're building more prisons, 2 new ones. They're calling it RISE IDOC, Illinois Department of Corrections.
The plan announced in March 2024 that they would replace Stateville, the maximum security prison in Joliet, and Logan, the only women's prison in Illinois.
They approved $900 million for this project, which has already grown to $2 billion.
The problem is that Illinois Department of Corrections is not spending responsibly, does not need to grow, and cannot be trusted with expanding.
No one asked for this. Not one of these organizations, not the communities most affected, nobody who's been inside, nobody who's ever had someone they love taken inside, not even the IDOC's own consultants.
This is Jimmy Soto, for those who don't know him, and you should. He is the longest wrongfully incarcerated person in Illinois state history, 42 years. He's also the first member of Theater Y's Inside Ensemble to come home. He is now a community organizer, a paralegal at Northwestern's Pritzker School of Law, a founding director of the hashtag Build Communities Not Prisons campaign.
And this fall, I will be starting law school at ITT Kent College of Law.
Jimmy, we are glad you are here and not still inside.
I'm glad I'm here too. Every day, every single day.
Jimmy, IDOC's own consultants recommended against new construction.
Since 2012, Illinois prison population has been steadily declining. I witnessed it. Little by little, more empty beds each year. In 2023, IDOC commissioned a facility master plan, and the consultants hired by the IDOC said this shrinking population provides an opportunity to close obsolete prisons. I remember when this master plan was made public, we thought it meant there would be closures of the dilapidated prisons.
Perhaps they would close the 20% of prisons built before 1925.
Sadly, no. That report was cherry-picked to justify the irrational spending of taxpayer money for new prison construction, while the rest of the report sat on a shelf, allowing these dilapidated prisons to continue to operate for 3 more years. Despite being woefully outdated, these old buildings are also extremely costly to operate.
And now the state is proposing RISE IDOC, Rehabilitation and Restoration Inside Safe Environments.
RISE.
The name is ironic. The only thing rising is the inflated construction estimates and the cost of running this disappearance machine.
$900 million has already grown to $2 billion for more cages.
Why is Illinois proposing to spend billions on facilities it doesn't need? At a moment when crime rates are falling, there are thousands of empty beds. Prisons are experiencing a staffing crisis, and the federal government has cut funding.
Today we gather on tax day when the state of Illinois is asking us to put our money towards prisons. In March of 2024, Governor Pritzker and the Illinois Department of Correction announced plans to build 2 new prisons to replace Stateville and Logan prisons at a starting cost of $900 million. We are here today to focus on striking the $900 million from the capital development budget for the proposed rebuilding of 2 prisons. And we are asking that our state legislators take note of that and don't vote for the budget. RISE IDOC is a high-cost, low-impact project. RISE IDOC is a misguided attempt at criminal justice reform. RISE IDOC lacks transparency and meaningful community engagement. Ultimately, RISE IDOC is a false promise to all the people of Illinois. In response to these concerns, the No New Prison campaign developed 4 demands, and they are as follows. 1, strike the $900 million from the Illinois budget. 2, reappropriate $900 million into community-directed, non-carceral infrastructure projects across Illinois. Close Logan Prison and minimize harm during the closure process. And 4, reduce the Illinois prison population through available mechanisms without expanding existing carceral infrastructures. So we call on members of the Public Safety Infrastructure Committees in the House and Senate to seriously question the approval of these funds and to ultimately vote no. What do we want them to do? Vote no! We will be going down to Springfield on April 29th, on May 13th. Join the campaign by emailing us at nonewprisons.il@protonmail.com. IDOC's operating budget for fiscal year 26 was $2,224,000. $2 billion. And that doesn't even include the expanded vocational training RISE IDOC promises. Nobody knows what that costs because the IDOC hasn't told us.
IDOC has a deferred maintenance backlog of $2.5 billion.
The state authorized $286 million for capital repairs at existing facilities in fiscal year 26. IDOC spent 4% of it. In fiscal year 2025, only 3%.
IDOC cannot spend the repair money they already have. They have a $2.5 billion maintenance backlog. This is a quote from the state's own master plan. Without significant progress in addressing existing deferred maintenance, the deterioration of IDOC physical plant will accelerate at nearly every correctional facility. IDOC's mission and goals, as well as safety and security, are negatively impacted by its worsening conditions. Their own audit found more than 40 compliance violations in a 2-year period, and the response is to give them $2 billion more to build more prisons.
Who profits from RISE IDOC? Who actually asked for it? How did this plan get here without any community input?
Why is there no clarity about where the new Logan facility will even be built? Why does IDOC keep getting blank checks with no oversight, while communities fight for healthcare, education, housing?
The Commission on Government Forecasting and Accountability tried to review RISE IDOC in spring of 2024. They couldn't take a vote, no quorum. The members who showed up criticized the vagueness of the plans and the speed of the process. Senator DeWitt said, quote, "To suggest that I've been disappointed with how this process has been played out would be an understatement," close quote. That is the official oversight body saying they were shut out. There has been no independent outside review since. The legislature is signing a blank check for a department with a documented history of financial mismanagement, a $2 billion budget, and an audit showing 40 violations in 2 years. To build prison, it doesn't need at a cost it hasn't disclosed.
If you asked your neighbor, your actual neighbor, what they would do with $2 billion, nobody says, give IDOC another blank check. Nobody.
Here's some math. It's pretty straightforward. Illinois currently holds about 30,000 people across dozens of prisons that can hold 42,000 people. None of these prisons are near capacity. There are roughly 12,000 empty beds right now, and crime rates in Illinois are steadily falling.
But if you build them, you fill them. We're watching it happen everywhere. But the reality is that IDOC cannot staff the facilities it currently has. More than half of our prisons are operating with 25% fewer correction officers than they require. Critically high, unsafe vacancy rates. Please note that Pontiac has been operating with almost half of their staff.
And the people I hear from inside are on lockdown constantly. No yard, no class. They can't leave their cells because they're understaffed. There are no guards to bring them out of their cells, resulting in de facto solitary confinement.
Here is the part I need people to actually sit with. Without any transparency from the IDOC, they haven't even provided an estimate of operating costs for these facilities. The more than $1 billion for the bill alone would affect only 3,000 people. That means someone inside has a 90% chance of not seeing anything change at all to their circumstances. These are not numbers that translate into relief, dignity, or a more livable daily reality for the vast majority of people incarcerated in Illinois. Who among the 30,000 gets moved to a facility that costs more than $330,000 per bed? That isn't a billion-dollar project. It is a multi-decade, multi-billion-dollar commitment from a department that cannot manage what it already has.
Let's recap. Our current facilities have 12,000 empty beds. On average, our current facilities are functioning without 20% of their staff. Only 3,000 people inside would be affected by this new build, and those people would receive a bed that costs $333,000. This project has already inflated from $900 million to $2.1 billion, and the Illinois Department of Corrections hasn't provided an estimate of operating cost.
A Northwestern University study found that community peacekeeping programs in Cook County reduced shooting victimization by more than 30% in some of the most impacted neighborhoods. 16 years of programs cost $900 million. 30% fewer shootings, 135,000 people reached over 16 years, versus 3,000 new beds. $1 billion. Here's a look at what else that could buy. Over 2,000 affordable homes, or 88 neighborhood youth centers for violence prevention. How about 44,000 transitional jobs to support reentry? 1,700 water filtration systems, or 44 trauma recovery centers. The statewide average per capita income is $46,000. Illinois spends $89,000 per person per year inside its prisons, and nearly double that at a recently built Joliet Inpatient Treatment Center. Reports from inside say people are being kept in cells 24 hours a day, receiving allegedly no mental health treatment whatsoever. The facility was built ostensibly to provide mental health treatment.
I heard from someone inside the Joliet Treatment Center. I want to read what they said directly. Quote, "They claim it's supposed to be a hospital, but it's run by IDOC, so they're up to the same old games. I think they never intended to open it completely. It's just used as a symbol," end quote.
There was a unit at Logan that was recently renovated. The ceiling fell in.
IDOC's very own Master Facilities Report names Stateville and Logan among 5 prisons that do not meet standards. Stateville was finally closed in 2025 after a judge ordered it. After 10 years of litigation and after Michael Broadway died inside it. Stateville. I need to say something about Stateville. My brother and fellow cohort Michael Broadway was inside there for years. He died there. I stood inside those walls for many decades. I know what they do to a person. Stateville was 100 years old. I testified in that suit, and I told the judge directly that the concrete was falling from the ceiling. There was toxic water, poor ventilation, unbearable heat, and vermin infestation. These were all constitutional violations. I'll never forget that the dog program was not allowed to come to Stateville because the conditions were considered unfit for dogs. And sadly, it took his death and a court order to close it. Michael Broadway's death could have been easily avoided had they followed the recommendations of that report. Instead, it took a 10-year civil rights battle and the death of a man before a judge finally ordered it closed in 2024.
Logan is still open, the only women's prison in Illinois. Identified by the Department of Justice as one of the top 9 prisons in the entire country for staff sexual abuse of incarcerated women. 7 active lawsuits right now against IDOC's guards for sexual assault.
Now, there were 85 complaints of staff on prisoner sexual abuse filed at Logan County Correctional Center. Now, this was in 2021 to 2025, but only 6 resulted in disciplinary action. 7 women have filed lawsuits against the Logan Correctional Center, according to a release from the Chicago nonprofit law firm Uptown People's Law Center. The women claim correctional officers groomed, sexually assaulted, and bribed them for sexual favors like medical care and sentence credits. They also claim they face retaliation, including disciplinary tickets, loss of privileges, sentencing credit, and solitary confinement. We reached out to the Illinois Department of Corrections for comment. We have not yet heard back.
Hundreds of women remain locked in a facility nationally known for sexual assault. We are letting this continue.
The John Howard Association and the Uptown People's Law Center have documented a culture of silence, pervasive abuse, retaliation against women who report, including solitary confinement for speaking up. Avalon Betts Gaston, executive director of the Illinois Alliance for Reentry and Justice, said, quote, "The culture inside of these institutions is such that every single day women are either witness to or the subject of sexual, verbal, and or physical abuse. And that is driven by the culture. There is no amount of paint, there is no amount of posh, and there is no amount of anything else that you can use to design away the culture."
This is not an infrastructure problem. Building a new building with the same people in charge, the same power structures intact, the same traumatizing system changes nothing.
Even if a new building could somehow magically address the sexual victimization, even if it got guards to show up, 90% of IDOC's incarcerated population would never see the inside of it. Neither would most of the staff.
I want to say clearly that inhumane conditions in IDOC actually look like, because it goes deeper than crumbling infrastructure. The United Nations defines prolonged solitary confinement as torture. IDOC calls it restrictive housing. Their own data shows roughly 20% of these placements exceed 15 days. By international human rights standards, that is torture happening right now in the buildings that already exist. A new building does not make solitary confinement less torturous.
If we're going to spend anything, at the very minimum, we should be spending it to improve air and water quality inside the facilities that exist. That would benefit every person inside, today, without a billion-dollar construction project.
As always, I stand ready to work with members of the General Assembly to deliberate and negotiate the final budget. But let's be clear, I will only sign a balanced budget. If you come to the table looking to spend more, I'm going to ask you where you want to cut.
Today, we are here because we want to voice our concerns of our governor who wants to spend $900 million for the rebuild of Stateville Correctional Center.
We demand that Governor Pritzker take this $900 million that you found and reinvest it in people instead of cages.
Prisons are not the solution. They bring trauma, they separate families.
Pritzker wants to establish himself as an anti-fascist candidate. Yet apparently, he'd rather spend money on things that forcibly separate families than on educating the children of Illinois. Governor Pritzker, let's use our money to build Illinois education, not Illinois Alcatraz.
Mass incarceration as it relates to people of color, especially Black people, is an epidemic we need to address.
Specifically want to call out House Bill 1170 with Representative Rita Mayfield. This would take cannabis tax revenue and put it into your free tuition program for people who live in disproportionately impacted areas.
Survivors of violence need resources, not revenge. They need community care, mental health support, housing, and opportunities for restoration, not more state violence. That's why we are demanding that the peace book be passed at a state level.
So we urging our governor not only not to invest in programs that incarcerate people, but invest in services that actually help be reacclimated back into society.
We're demanding that you recognize the humanity, the inherent worth and dignity of all our citizens, and give individuals a choice.
Governor Pritzker, we commend you for the courage to say these prisons are horrible and they need to be closed. But we also urge you to not continue to make the same mistakes our state has made over and over and over again in investing in responses to harm instead of prevention of harm. I call on Governor Pritzker to demand that he put family and children first. Stop the rebuild, bring my father and uncle home. Thank you.
The questions our legislators are not asking and should be: who asked for these prisons? IDOC? The governor? A contractor? How did this get this far without the communities most affected having any say? Why is there still no clarity on where the new Logan facility will be? Why does IDOC keep receiving funding with no plan to close the facilities with the highest deferred maintenance? The most active lawsuits, the worst documented human rights violations.
And the question underneath all of it, what would $2 billion actually do for the communities that have been most devastated by mass incarceration? Communities waiting not for new prisons, but for schools, housing, mental health care, for the people who were taken from them to come home.
We know that works. Community peacekeeping programs in Cook County reduced shootings by more than 30%. Illinois' reimagined public safety program, violence prevention, high-risk youth programming, community violence intervention, gets $111 million in the proposed budget, 1/8 of what RISE IDOC costs. Programs proven to work, people alive because of them.
Illinois abolished parole in 1978. We are one of 17 states in the country without parole. There are nearly 1,500 clemencies and commutation petitions on the governor's desk right now. waiting. No capital budget required, just a signature.
People are serving decades under mandatory minimums and truth in sentencing laws written in the 80s. Laws that require people to serve 75 to 100% of their sentences, regardless of how they've served their time or who they've become. Research has consistently shown that longer sentences do not make communities safer. What they make is a bigger, more expensive system.
And you cannot separate any of this from race. Black people in Illinois are incarcerated at 7.5 times the rate of white people. Black women at 6 times the rate of white women. Black people are 14% of Illinois' population and 58% of IDOC's prison population. New prisons don't address that. They entrench it.
I spent 42 years inside of a system that was not built to release me. It was built to keep me in. I'm here today because people fought outside those walls and inside them for a different outcome. That fight is this show. That fight is this coalition.
Here's what we need from you right now. What you can do. 1. Contact your Illinois state legislator. Ask how they feel about spending more on prisons. Have they ever been inside an IDOC facility? You can find your lawmaker at this QR code. It'll take 2 minutes. Number 2, join No New Prisons Illinois. You can get oriented and sign up at the second QR code. Number 3, you can demand clemency action. Call the governor's office at this number. Nearly 1,500 petitions are waiting. $0 required. 1 signature. Number 4, you can support parole reinstatement. Follow Parole Illinois. Make it a voting issue. And 5, share this episode. The more people who understand what RISE IDOC actually is, the harder it becomes to ignore.
Build communities, not prisons.
Kill Them Already is produced by Theater Y at CAN TV, Channel 21.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Nadia.
And I'm Jimmy.